Hey guys, Kev here, and I wanted to do a quick debrief on the Buzz QC, shipping, all that good stuff. We got the production models in, so I wanted to show it off and talk about it a little bit. So this is the Divo Knives Buzz, and this version right here is the Tux version we did with a black washed handle, satin hardware, belt satin blade. You have that nice hollow grind. They all had that, or have that. The other versions available was a all stonewashed version called the Silver Fox. Then we had a reverse Tux version, which had a bead blasted handle, black hardware, and black wash blade. And then we had the Blackout, which had a all black washed look with black hardware. All of them came out really good. We QC'd 300 of them. I had basically two other really good knife guys that helped me with the hands-on sort of QC of the knives, and we all felt that they were very good. There was variance in the detents from what I would call medium to a little bit on the stronger side. We only had one or two that felt too light on the detent, and I did adjust those. And then we had one that was a bit strong, like it was really hard to flick, and I adjusted that as well to come down a little bit. So I would say if you wanted to know the patterns we noticed during QC, the Silver Fox version, which is the all stonewash, tended to have more of a medium detent. And I believe that's because of the stonewashing. That's just kind of what I've noticed over the years. A stonewash blade lends itself to a little bit of a softer detent. Not weak, but like softer, if that makes sense. And then if you have something like a belt satin, because the finish grabs a little bit more, you get a little bit more of a, I don't know how to explain it, snappier feel or something. And then the black washed ones were, a lot of them were on the stronger side of medium. So I would basically put it this way. The Silver Fox ones are like down the center, medium detents. The Tux ones were a little bit stronger than that, and then the black ones tended to be the strongest of them. Now, there was variance in that as well. You know, we had some of the Silver Foxes that were stronger. We had some of the black ones that were a little bit more medium. It's, you know, you're not going to have every knife be identical. No OEM can do that. They have to set these lock bar tensions by, you know, a jig or something to do it. I think it's hand done mostly, but I'm not positive. I will say the three that I had to adjust, it was super easy. So if anybody has issues with your knife, whether too strong or, you know, a little too soft for you, you can always hit us up and we'll see what we can do. We might be able to tweak it for you, walk you through it, etc. Because I do think that this model is going to be a little bit heavier on the preference of the user. And I say that because of this top flipper. So the way we designed this knife is to have a hole for deployment and a top flipper / front flipper style deployment. And what that means is you have to get a grip up here to wheel it back to deploy it. You also can grab right here with your index finger and do a reach around, right? Then you have the hole to deploy as well, either with your reverse flick or your thumb flick. Now, of course, you can always slow roll it out and do the other things. I don't think this trick works on this knife very well. But let me tighten this up. Looks like it loosened a little bit. So, there we go. Dead center. So, the reason I say preference is going to be heavy is because if you're someone like me, you love a reverse flick. And that is going to be my primary thought when I go to flick a knife, right? I'm always going to want to just fire it out with the reverse flick. And if it does anything else, great. But I want that to be dialed in, right? But some people are going to be preferred top flippers, right? They might not even use the hole much. So they're going to want it to be a very, very good top flipper, in which case you want the detent to be more medium than strong, right? And if you are a reach around person, again, same thing applies there, because if this is too strong, you end up kind of having trouble to deploy that. And I will say on this one here that I grabbed for myself, it has a little bit of a stiffer feel to it. And so if I don't really dig in when I rip that, it can be a little bit tough, right? So that's going to be 100% preference per user. And unfortunately, that's just the way it is with this type of knife that has multiple deployments, unless you just go soft and, then, you're going to be able to do everything as long as you apply enough pressure, right? And I know some people prefer that, but I do personally like to have a good reverse flick. So we really tried to emphasize that with Best Tech. And so anyway, there's a quick overview on the action. I think they came out fantastic, regardless of whether they were in the medium to the strong end of things. It was no problem just giving it a flick. It fired out. You could thumb flick it out easy. And then you always have, the top flipper available for that if you want to. I just think some people who have a little bit of weaker hands, they might struggle with the stronger one. And some people who prefer a really tight detent, might want it a little stronger if they get a medium one. But we'll see how that plays out as they land. And I'd be curious to hear you guys' feedback when they come in. But I've handled over 100, maybe 200 of these at this point, just because, when we were QCing, we'd be like, hey, what do you think of this? And then, we'd mess around with it and just make sure everything was dialed in. And I was so happy with all of them. I mean, we've done a few drops at this point, and I'm really impressed with Best Tech. I had to tweak 3 knives out of 310 knives they sent us on this shipment. We have more coming, but that's pretty damn good in my book. 3 knives, and I just had to slightly tweak them, and they were good to go. So that's amazing to me. I've been very impressed with Best Tech. You pay for it, but you get what you pay for, it seems like, So anyway, that is the sort of action category. Really enjoy it. All of the ones I handled was smooth. Disengage and a shake and it's down. It's not gonna, guillotine shut all the way like the Stout did. I know some people are probably gonna expect that. This is just a different knife. And personally, I like a action like this where it's kind of controlled. But you guys can always tune them how you want as well, obviously. We did have Zircuti backspacers available. I did just put some on the website. I put 30 up there on the website. So if you picked one up and you want to add a backspacer, you can order one of those. We'll ship it out to you. And on this one, you can see I took out the lanyard pin. So you can actually, it comes with a lanyard pin installed here. But I took that out because I thought it shows the backspacer a little bit more. But those people who want the lanyard pin, you have it. You can pop your lanyard on. If you don't, you can remove it. It's not structural because you have 2 screws here and then the clip screw. So you're good to go there. Yeah. Really happy with these. The updates we made from prototyping. We updated the grind, so you'll see this grind comes out of the handle now. They kind of screwed up on the prototypes, and that plunge grind was inside the handle. You should have plenty of room to sharpen there. As far as I can see, where the plunge grind ends, there's quite a bit of room. I mean, I'm not an expert on it, but looking for that sort of shadow, it gives you a decent amount of room. You should get a few sharpenings out of it. But let me know what you think if you're an expert sharpener. We always appreciate that feedback. We have this beautiful hollow grind. You can see that out to the tip there if I can get it to focus. Look at that. Beautiful hollow grind. We added this jimping right here for what we call Vox style jimping, where when you're choked up, you land your thumb right here, and it really applies a little bit of texture there to give you some grip, and it is quite grippy, especially on this version. The stone washed ones might be a little more muted, but you can also do in a pinch grip, you can bear down on that as well. Although my finger usually climbs a little bit further. It's going to be, again, user specific on that. We added lock bar access, so you'll see there's plenty of lock bar showing right here. You can see the little chamfer in there. You just get your thumb in there, boom. She swings down, or if you just want to do this, that works too. We made sure the lynch clips fit. We made sure everything was T8. You will get an extra set of hardware with every knife. So that's something we like to do with our premium offerings. And it is one of the reasons this knife, you know, was $300 on pre-order and $330 retail, is because we have to pay to have that extra hardware. But we think it's an important thing to have for people. The first thing is the pivot. The extra pivot is blank, so there is no DK logo on it. So if you're someone who doesn't like the look of a logo on the pivot, let me show you what it looks like. Let me see if I have something. Where's my... Just looking for a pony stout. Here we go. So this is another model of ours, but this has the same logo. Says it's DK. You know, it's pretty unassuming, and it's the only marking on the entire knife. But if you don't like it, you can swap it out. I did notice, messing around with a couple, the pivots could be a little bit tight. I didn't have any issues getting them in, but they did feel a little bit tight going in. So just make sure you line up that D shape, have it facing down when you push it through here, so you don't have to mess around too much. But otherwise, you know, I didn't really notice anything. Make sure your pivot cap is tightened all the way onto the barrel when you pop it into the scale. I did notice they would loosen a little bit. So you just want to tighten that onto the barrel and pop it through when you do that. One other thing I noticed was the extra body screws. They seem to be shorter than the ones in the knife. I'm not sure what's going on there, but I did test them all and they all work. So whether it's the longer ones or the little bit shorter ones, they all fit. Shouldn't be an issue there. You obviously have the 2 clip screws. You get an extra clip. And then you get a stop pin and you get a insert with detent ball and the 2 screws here. These are T6. They weren't, as far as I know, they're T6. They weren't able to make those T8, but I'm not positive on that. Although you shouldn't really have to mess with it, but if you do, there you go. You should have those as well in there. I'm trying to think if there's anything else in there. Bearings. There's bearings and washers in there as well as the pivot. So one reason we like to do that is if you like to mod your stuff, you could literally just send that extra hardware set to somebody and say, hey, anodize this blue. And then you have a whole set of hardware that's blue, and then you have your stock hardware that's satin or black or whatever. I guess if you had a black one, you wouldn't be able to anodize it unless you had somebody strip the coating, which I don't know how easy that is. But anyway, you have the extra hardware, which we like to provide for people. What else? I don't know if there was any other changes off the top of my head I can think of. We tried to implement everything we could. Yeah, they came out great, in my opinion. We also did get a small batch of extra scales that are knurled. Now, I want to be careful here because I've had a lot of people hit me up about them. We do not have many of these. What happened is that I sent them the lynch clip to make sure that they could fit a lynch clip on these scales. And they had, for some reason, they had already milled out like 40 sets of scales before I did that. So when they got the lynch clip, they realized it doesn't fit in here. So I'm going to test that real quick. But essentially what they told us was, hey, we have these extra scales that we cut, and we obviously can't use them. Would you want these scales, and we could mill them or something? So we said, hey, yeah, let's do that, and we'll add some kind of texture to them. So we asked for this knurling on it. And so these do not fit the Lynch clips as far as I know, although it looks like it fits. Huh. Looks like it fits right in there. I'll have to put a set on and see if it fits, but that's the reason they gave us, is that they didn't fit. Maybe it's too tight once you try to tighten it down, or maybe it's the length of it. I'll mess around with it and see. But anyway, that was the story behind that. So we may drop these at some point. They would just be a drop on our website, or we might bring them to Blade Show or something. So I just want people to know that these are not going to be like readily available. And, you know, we might try to do something in the future, but that's kind of the story behind these. If you see them on people's posts or stories or something, the ones that are out there now are for people who came and literally helped us QC the knives and ship them. Those are friends who came and helped. I had a buddy who flew in from California to help. Shout out to Ev, Knife Ninja EDC, and all my local buddies that helped out. Backpack B, Stafford DDC, Knife Nerd, Grinded Gears EDC. Hoping I'm not missing it. Oh, my buddy Joe and his son Zach. So any of them who wanted a set, I gave them a set for helping out, and that's why you might see them out there. But otherwise, they have not been sold or available. They weren't on pre-order or anything like that. So we'll see what happens with those. But I honestly really like the stock look of it. We are big fans of milled scales, but, you know, we designed this, you know, before we really got interested in milled scales so much. So it does have a little bit of milling here and there and cool design features and stuff like that. So yeah, the only other thing I'd want to do, I guess, is just show you a breakdown. I was thinking about putting those scales on, so we might as well take a look in here. If it gives me too much trouble. The one thing that I noticed when swapping to those scales is the clip insert, and I'll show you that, which, unless you were swapping scales, shouldn't matter, but basically you can get the knife apart at this point. You don't need to take that clip screw out. That just mounts to the liner. So I lied earlier about the backspacer. Just those two screws are structural. I guess the pin does help a little bit down there, but I might put it back in. I honestly didn't even realize that I didn't have it in, and then I was like, oh, it looks cool without it. So, but for my purposes of getting the scales swapped, I do have to take this screw out. One thing to note is that this screw is shorter. So the screw that does not hold the clip is a little shorter, so you have to swap that out. These are T6s. I can just tell by looking at it. Yep. So you shouldn't have to take that out unless, you know, you had an issue with your lock bar insert, you know, or you just wanted to swap it out for whatever reason. But it should come right out with a T6. And then you have your blade. As you can tell, I've already put skiffs in here because that's what I do with everything. Pivot came right out there. You will notice, like I said, this does loosen. So just make sure it's tight when you put it on. Get this out. So the one thing I wanted to note is this clip insert. Oh, if you swap your backspacer and you have trouble getting it off, it's because you need to loosen these screws. Sometimes those barrels are kind of too tight in there. So if I just loosen these a touch, now I can just pull the backspacer off. So this is the Zircuti backspacer. If you're interested, they are on the site for $75. These are pretty expensive to make. On pre-order, we barely added any margin to it because we just wanted to, you know, make it an option for people. But we did have to, you know, increase the cost a little bit for retail. So they are $75, but it is Zircuti. So basically layers of titanium with zirconium interweaved, and it looks fantastic. So again, you get what you pay for. So here we're going to remove the clip screw, and I'll show you the difference. Then the clip comes out. I love this clip from Best Tech. This sort of slimline wire clip is my favorite. If you look at it compared to other wire clips, let's see, do I have a Mash? Here's one of our Mash models from Kubi made these. You can see the difference. I really like how low profile this one is. Now, if you look at the design, this clip matches this design better. It's a little more square. It's got more angle to it, where this one's a little more rounded. And I think they both match their respective models really well. I may do a video on the Mash V2s because we just got those in as well, and those pre-order shipped out. They came out great as well. This one's Kubi in 14C28N with a titanium scale and steel liner lock, where this is a titanium liner. So this right here is titanium, and then it has a steel insert mounted into it. And that's why this does cost a little more to make. So let me try to stop talking. This right here is the thing that can give you a little bit of trouble if you swap the scales. Or say you strip the knife down to mod it or something, right? Here is the clip screw versus the opposite screw. So this is your sort of extra screw that goes into the non-clip side. So you take the barrel out. And again, you get an extra set of barrels as well. I'll take the washer out, but first let me show you what I've been doing. So there's the washer. So we have stripped the knife bare, right? Now I'm going to try to tuck some stuff away to be careful. What I do is I take a clip screw, and we need to get this out. You see this plate? This is something that's very cool. This is something that Colin designed, and essentially it's a steel plate. And you're probably wondering, well, it's titanium. Why the hell would you put steel in there? Well, he wanted to make sure that the clip mounted into steel. So on this side, right, on this side, you have that extra piece of titanium, the liner, that this mounts into. So while this is titanium, it's a nice piece of it. You get some good threading, right? On this side, if we didn't have this plate, they would have to have left this chunk of titanium, and then you'd be just threading into titanium, which is more likely to strip out, right? So he just designed this steel piece to pop in there so that it would mount into steel. I thought that was pretty cool. Brought the magnet with me. So the only thing is, it's kind of hard to get out. Not gonna lie. We swapped a couple of these. Now there's no threads in the actual titanium, so you could tighten this as much as you want. But what I do is I put the screw in, and then I swap to a T6, something that'll fit in the hole, so she said, and then you kind of just push it out. But it can be an absolute bear to get out of there. And I really struggled to get it out the first time. I think Ev actually helped me get it out, and I'm a little afraid to like jack my fingers up doing it. I think I'm twisting the screw while I'm doing it. So I'm pushing against this screw. Got it. And I'm pushing through, and that will pop the thing out. So basically I'm just putting something in there so that I have a place to put pressure on this side. Because if you just try to do this, you're never getting this out. Now, some of them pop right out. Some of them are tighter. So I did ask Best Tech if they could, with this next shipment, if they could send me these like pieces so I could put them into the scales. So I could just sell these with these in there, and then you wouldn't even have to take it out. But as of right now, you have to take it out, and I just realized the color is different, but it shouldn't matter because it's just inside. So you're not going to see that, I don't think. So I'm going to pop this in there, and you see that popped in real easy, and I bet you that one comes out. So a lot of times it's because they use oil. There's a little bit of oil in the pocket or whatever, and it just can make it hard. Where is it? Right here. But anyway, I'm going to set these aside, and I'm going to try to get this guy going. So I'm just going to make sure it's tight. I'm going to see how these fit. So it popped right in. And I'm going to line it up so that the D shape is facing down, pretty much straight down like that. And then I'm going to make sure everything's tight. And you can always I'll show you, but so best thing to do, I think, is to put the barrels on first. So you pop the barrel in, take a screw, put it in. I had the T6 in there. Shouldn't need that again. All right, let's try that again, Kev. So we'll put this in, and this will kind of lock that plate in. Ah, crap. You're going to see the black there. So probably be best to get the same color. And again, if I can get them to send me the plates, then that'll solve this completely. But I think I'm going to put the clip on this side, so it shouldn't matter, right? Because I'm a lefty. But if you were right-handed, that might be a bit annoying. Trying to get that to tighten, but I guess it's good. I'll take this one, put that in there. So I will admit, it's not like the quickest, scale swap, but once you know what you're doing, it's pretty easy. And I don't know why this one won't just tighten down though. I'm gonna flip it around and just see. If you're just adding skiffs or something like that, it's pretty quick. There we go. Okay. So we got that in. Let me see if I have the box. There it is, I think. Ow. Alright, sorry. Yeah, just banged my chest on something. So, this is obviously how the knife comes. Usually there's a cloth in there. This should be the right thing. Yeah, so I have the black backspacer and the hardware. The reason I'm looking in here is for the lanyard pin that I hopefully kept. Yep, there it is. And I did notice that it does not come with an extra lanyard pin. So, I don't know why, but Best Tech did not put an extra lanyard pin in. There's an extra of pretty much everything else. I don't think there is a stop pin. I was wrong about that. But the stuff you need to, say, mod or, fix something is all in here. So, all right, got that in. And then actually, just to be safe, this is something I'd like to always tell people who get a knife with a lanyard pin, if you take it apart, is to take Locktite and put it in the holes. I know this sounds weird. Just put a little bit in there, sop that up. I'm going to pop this guy on like that, and you'll see it leaked out. That's okay. Just going to clean it up. No big deal. It's just a little bit of Loctite. And the reason I do that is to stop any potential rattle. There has to be a little bit of room in there, right? And so a lot of times after you take a knife apart, clean it, do all that, you've removed all the oil, the grease, anything they had in there, and you might make it where it rattles a little bit. So it's always best to just preemptively take care of that by putting a little bit of Loctite. I use Loctite because it'll harden up, Let grab, so let me just do this. Where's the other scale? Oh. All right. Sorry, guys. It's been a long weekend. And for me, it's Monday, but I took off today to finish dropping off all the packages and everything. So just been a long, busy weekend. I'm a little scatterbrained, so apologies. But I like to do these videos going over the knives as we come out with them, as the pre-orders land or the drops land or whatever. And so yeah, if you were just here for the info, you know, I'm done with that. I'm basically just showing you a disassembly, reassembly at this point of the production model. You will notice there's no markings. So I thought we asked for a 20 CV marking right there, but maybe I'm thinking of a different knife, but there is nothing on these liners or scales. Liner, unless I'm just not seeing it. Pretty sure there's nothing, but it's 20 CV obviously, so just want to put that out there. And then re-oil these a little bit. Should be good to go already, but okay. So we're gonna see how the tolerances are, because obviously scale swaps, you know, they can be risky. You never know if the scales are gonna take, you know, centering wise. That's kind of my fear always with a scale swap, is how the centering is gonna look. Just grab a little bit of heavy here. I don't want to go crazy. Come on. Yeah, see, that's what I didn't want to do. There we go. All right. So we got that on. Backspacer needs to go on, obviously. See how this looks with a belt satin with the satin hardware and the I guess they're blasted scales. I don't know what they are. There we go. That popped on. Now we put the liner on, like so. So here's where you want to make sure that D shape is lined up right with this, and push through that. And then if you need to kind of like adjust the pivot because the D is over here or here, so she said, you can just put it on so that it pops all the way through, and then you can adjust that by just wheeling the liner around. Then you want to make sure this pops on, obviously, so back here. And then I try to shut the knife at this point. I've heard that you should disassemble, honestly, your knives close like that so the pivot is all lined up. I don't know how, you know, much that truly matters, but, you know, I try to listen to people smarter than me. And it looks like everything's lined up. So I'm just going to drop this screw in. Right. Shaw. Ooh. And just drive that in a little bit. Okay, not going crazy, just getting it lined up. When in doubt, if a screw is not tightening, like if a screw is giving you a lot of resistance, just back it out until it pops. You'll hear it kind of kick because it pops out of the thread and back in. And then you know, like right now, it's starting to be a little hard to tighten. So I'm going to back out and wait for it to pop and then tighten it back down. Now, that one I might have to grab another driver for. And for that, I always grab my trusty... This is a T6, I think. Yep. I grab my skiff tool, the finger bit, I call it. And essentially, you can just take this guy, put it in one side of a spinning barrel pivot, and then take the driver on the other side. See, it's wanting to drive that screw over there out. So there we go. It cleared. Tighten that one down. come back around to this side and see what's going on here. And that one's down now too. Same thing here. Just find it. Tighten. Good to go. I'm going to check everything before I start going crazy. Tighten it down. We are dead nuts centered. Look at that. Look at that. Wow. So this is where that black thing is going to maybe bother some people in there. I don't think it's a problem. You would just put this in, and it would basically just look like a shadow in there, right? Now, for me, you know, the clip is going to actually go there, so... The one nice thing about fresh scales is I don't have to worry about a little mark here that you usually get from the clip before you reverse it. As a lefty, we deal with that a lot because, you know, usually we have to flip the clip over. Just trying to get this in. I think it'll just go in the... Oh, did we want to test the lynch clip? I don't really like the looks of this on this knife, but we can see if they fit. Again, they do fit the stock scales well. So, it does kind of look good on this, actually. So, hold on. See, this is where you might not be able to even get it to thread. You would have to... Oh. So maybe that's what they were talking about. You can't get it to thread in. Where on these, it sits in there. See that? It sits in there. And then you could just take the screw and go right in. Where on these, it doesn't quite sit in. So if you bought these, I'd venture to guess if you're handy, you could just file out a little bit and get it to fit. Personally, I like the wire clip. It did look pretty good, though, on there. Not going to lie. Yeah, I'm going to try to weasel this guy in somehow. This is the trickiest part of a wire clip, is just getting the screw in. And for some reason, with this one, it doesn't want to just let me slide. Usually, I can just slide the clip in. Come on, you little baby. Look at you. Not even threaded. So... I'm going to try this trick where you kind of pop the screw between them like this. Come on, just get in there. Why are you being a little bitch? There we go. Then it should just thread in. Tighten that. No tap or anything. Tighten that. Tighten. Tighten. Oops. Tighten. Oh, that guy was a little loose. Okay. Dead centered. Detent feels good. Skiffs. Oh yeah, that's butter. Look at that thing. Holy shit, that's nice. So let me just test the old pivot here. Remove it. Tighten it back down. See if anything changes. Still centered. Still fires. Still drops. Could probably back off a little bit. Let's see. No play. Just walked off a little bit. Centering's good. No play. And yeah. So here's a trick I just learned from somebody. I'm going to see if it works. You take a marker. If you're going to use super glue when you Locktite, take a marker, draw a line. Now you're using a Sharpie, so it'll come off with alcohol. So now you have that line. Now you take your screw out. And because you have to do this quickly with glue, right? You take your screw out, you put your glue on or whatever you need to. And then you put it back in. And when you tighten it down, you line that up. So now I get it to the tightness I want right there. Line that up. Check. Centered. No play. Exactly where I wanted it. Back out again. Now what I'm going to do is clean everything thoroughly. Even going to take this. Hopefully I don't accidentally clean off my Sharpie there, but I might. Where's the damn pivot? Get in there. Oops, okay. So I did clean it off a little bit. Just take my Sharpie again. Fix that line. Like that. By the way, the Soul Built Mark Smith, absolutely fantastic. This is one of the best EDC items I've ever gotten. This is a titanium Sharpie. Has a little gate so that you can't dry out the tip. And it's wonderful. Starts at $100. That's why it has that little bit of rattle, because it has that space for the gate. But the price on these, I know it seems like a lot, but think about titanium bolt action pens. So similar, even cheaper price point. I'll link it on Amazon. They put dead nuts on here for me. But it comes in just polished tie for $100. And then it's like 120 with what I just showed you. So here's what we're going to do. Take our super glue. Now, I'm not going to go recommending you super glue Divo knives unless you know what you're doing. But if you do, be very, very light with the glue, okay? You do not want to put too much glue. That's a big mistake I've made in the past with knives, and I've paid for it. So we can't warranty a knife that has been super glued shut, basically. So just be careful. We obviously do everything we can to help our customers, but you just need to be careful is all I'm saying. So I'm going to try to get this back in the way I had it. Here we go. Line that up. I went a little further than I meant to. I think it'll break in nicely. Do not want to go tweaking it now because it may cause issues. So as you can see, we are dead nuts. As far as I can tell, it's dead nuts down the center right there. And now I gotta keep that off of my sheet. Just gonna do this. Boom. Put this back on. Clean this up. I'm letting that glue a little bit while we sit here. These are awesome, by the way. Skiff Made Blades has these. They should be linked in my Disassembly Tools in general, but if not, I will be adding it. LeftyEDC will save you 10% off your order at Skiff Made Blades. But, dude, this thing is amazing. These are 3D printed prototypes of the finger bit or whatever they call it. He's working on a metal one, but this is honestly all you need. I mean, it doesn't move at all. So I have 2 of them, and I absolutely love it. It just makes so much sense. So just cleaning stuff up. Here's that extra hardware. Put that back in. I'm going to take the scales. I'm going to slide those in. Here's the stock scales, which again, guys, they look beautiful. So I wish I could have a set of both for everybody, but it's just not possible. We ended up getting, I think, 14 in this color. I guess it's a stone. What is it? A bead blast? I don't know. And then we got 20 in black. So there's just not a lot out there. and there's not much I can do about that other than try to order more at a later date. I did ask them about fat carbon scales, but they would have to add a liner on this side. So I didn't know if that would be something people would be interested in. And it would probably up the price quite a bit because you'd have another titanium liner underneath, because we wouldn't go steel over there and tie over here. And then you'd obviously have the fat carbon scales. So that's a whole nother ball game there. Put my tools away. Put this clip away. Save that for... Actually, I wanted to put it back on here. While we're waiting, I'll show you the Pony Stout. This is a knife we're dropping hopefully next month at White Mountain Knives. Actually, I guess it's this month now, May. We're just waiting on some screws. So, come on, Jesus. We're waiting on some screws because QSP did not include the extra clip screw on these knives, which is sort of weird. But for some reason, they thought we wouldn't want them. So we're waiting for those. They're in the mail on the way to White Mountain, but then they have to QC all the knives, do all the usual stuff. So we're hoping sometime in May, you'll see a drop. But here's the Pony Stout. They'll be $75 on White Mountain Knives. You can go sign up for the email list for these. We're going to have this version, black G10 stonewash blade. You'll have a black G10 black wash blade, black hardware. And then you'll have a blue micarta, satin hardware, stonewash blade, and blue micarta, black hardware, black wash blade. So 4 versions, $75. Use my discount, Lefty10. It'll be like $68 shipped to your door. 14C, 28N. And obviously G10 or micarta steel liner lock on these. But fantastic slicey hollow grind on them. But I wanted to put that clip back on. All right, here we go. So then you just take your cloth, put a little alcohol on it, and the marker comes right off. So I can just clean the scales. Boom, boom, boom. Let's give her a flick. Oh yeah, clean the blade off. I carried this in my pocket while I sweated all day, getting your knives to the post office. So make sure it's nice and dry. We have 0 play in any direction. And there's that look with the belt satin. Yeah, that's gorgeous. Yeah, buddy. I'm excited about that. So that's a look at the Buzz production version. We're really happy with them. There's that backspacer. I hope you guys like them. Let me know once you get yours what your feedback is. And if you are looking for one, check out the dealers. So I sent out a good chunk of the dealer orders. We did have to split them a little bit because Best Tech only sent 2/3 of the order, unfortunately. And so we sent Blade HQ some. We sent Blue Creek their order, and we sent Urban EC their order. So keep an eye out for those dealers. We do still have an order for White Mountain Knives. Justin over there was kind enough to offer to hold off on his and get his when the rest come in. So I am very grateful to Justin. He's been a great, great dealer to work with, both for Divo and the channel. But he was kind enough to offer that. So his order will go out as soon as we possibly can send it. And the rest of Blade HQ's as well. But I believe all those dealers should drop theirs pretty quickly once they receive them. And it's not a lot. So if you want one, jump on it. It's mostly the black washed ones, but there are some satin and stonewash in there. No scales. Those are all going to be sold directly from us at some point. So you'll have to wait for that. But you can pick up a backspacer now. And I have rambled for 50 minutes about this knife. I love it. I'm very excited to hear your guys' thoughts on it. And yeah, I love you guys. We appreciate all the support. And big shout out to everyone. Seriously, everyone who has contributed in some way to the Buzz or Divo, supporting the channel and Divo and everything in general. It's just been an amazing ride, and I am very, very grateful. So hope you guys have a great day. Hit me up with any questions, and I love you all. I will catch you later.